Thunk my battle. Shh. Hush your mouth. Donald Byer is not just a championship speller who received a personal letter from President Barack Obama for his achievements, but also he is a very intelligent man. Donald Byer attended Gonzaga High School and got near perfect scores on his SAT, 800 on the math section and 780 on the verbal. And he is a Phi Beta Kappa graduate from the elite Williams College in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, one of the most competitive liberal arts colleges in the nation. He even thought really hard about going to medical school to become a doctor. And today, he serves as the ranking member on the Oversight Subcommittee to the Committee on Science, Space, and Technology. Yes, Donald Byer is a really smart guy. And with 20% of our residents holding advanced degrees in the 6th richest congressional district in the nation, he may fit in well for this suburban district. But does he think that you are as smart as he is? Donald Byer is so smart that one of the early ads that he created for the family dealership when he and his brother bought it from their father in the 1980s was, "I think, therefore I am rolling in a Don Byer Volvo." I guess only really smart people can afford a Don Byer Volvo, and he tried to get Bill Clinton to consider buying one for Chelsea when the sitting president came to campaign for him when he was running for governor. And we know that she is smart. Yet until a few years ago, Don Byer Kia customers who are not as well educated shared the same waiting room for service in Falls Church with those who owned Don Byer Volvos. But they had a very different customer experience from those who could think better. No personal greeting, no hand-delivered cup of coffee. They just got that unwelcome feeling of being second class until Don Byer moved their waiting room across the street. Separate but equal. But Don Byer told a C-SPAN interviewer last year that 90% of his customers are not that smart and just keep coming back, and that he and others laugh that they spend most of their money trying to get the other 10% into a Don Byer automobile. So, when Donald Byer was running for governor against Jim Gilmore in 1997, why didn't his former boss, Governor Douglas Wilder, want to endorse him? The former governor never said, and many concluded that that was the end of his political career. Most critics just say that old Doug was just ungrateful. Didn't his boss know that Byer was a really smart guy? His former boss, Hillary Clinton, does, and he is taking on the Congress to tell them to stop wasting money and time on pursuing her negligent mishandling of classified email. The Democratic Party is going all out for Byer, even if he happened to offend some Hispanic voters with his handling of a mariachi event. And even if he happened to forget that when he was ambassador, he worked at the embassy and not what he called the dealership. And many Jewish voters are prepared to support Donald Byer, even if he happened to support the Iran nuclear deal. And near Christmas, when over 150,000 of our troops were deployed to over 120 hotspots around the world, held a solidarity celebration in the mosque that planned the terror attacks that killed Americans 15 years ago, while defense contractors are given generously to his campaign, even if he wants to vote against defense authorization, yet now wants to join Republican nominee Charles Hernick in asking Congress to go to a war he won't fund or would ever fight himself. But rest assured that programs like Planned Parenthood will never be at a loss for funding to contribute to the killing of little brown babies with spackling eyes at a rate 2 times that of their fairest-skinned playmate, because that is their mother's choice. As the Falls Church News Press's sincerely enlightened public servant dedicated to raising the public discourse said when he was running for governor, I reached the thought that the extremes in our party were extremes to protect children, to protect workers, to protect African Americans, to protect the least powerful in our society, and the extremes in the other party were intolerant. No wonder a newspaper like the Washington Post endorsed him last year before anyone had entered the race. Why the Democrats are raising money, registering votes, and getting out the vote, even though at the second debate their champion for climate change conceded that the gentleman who stood up and proclaimed that the wind was at their backs after the Community Forum on Climate Change was held last year was misinformed, because Beyer has little hopes that any meaningful legislation on climate change can survive in the current Congress. And he is beginning to sound like the Republican nominee who continually provides the excuse that he could be doing so much more if certain conditions were present. And they both believe that you will trust their intelligence because they are certainly smarter than anyone else. Don't you think? Who cares if the district is the home of Fort Belvoir, Joint Base Meyer, the Pentagon, Arlington National Cemetery, the headquarters of 90% of the major defense contractors, and home for the 9% of our residents who are military veterans. When you are a favorite son and multimillionaire, you can afford to sleep late and forget all about observing Veterans Day, just as long as you make sure to hand out those green t-shirts on Memorial Day for the annual run in which you don't even participate. And comedian Woody Allen may find 90% of his success formula in just showing up, but you can rest assured that your job is safe and secure when you admit that you don't know what the bells in Congress mean on television and miss 4% of the roll call votes. In fact, one paper is betting that Beyer will get 70% of the vote in November, even better than he did the first time. And they all believe that you will trust their intelligence because they are smarter than anyone else. Don't you think? Don't you think? Politicians will say anything. Let's make Americans great again. I am Mike Webb, and I am running for U.S. Congress. Honest. This advertisement was authorized by Mike Webb.